The invention responsible for creating the most drastic impact on the course of human history is the Gutenberg printing press. Why? Because there was an explosion of information that wasn't readily available before that. Reading became a skill that anyone could master. We live in a world today where reading and writing is essential, and yet the Department of Education released in 2009 that 14% or 32 million Americans couldn't read or write. According to Chris Davies, in an article he wrote titled Illiteracy Rates Worsening in the U.S., illiteracy costs companies billions of dollars in productivity and health and safety issues. To make matters worse, people who can read are choosing not to. Bureau of Labor Statistics released information about what people do in their leisure time, and men spend 3 hours watching TV, quarter of an hour reading, while women spend 2.5 hours watching TV and a third of an hour reading. These times get worse when people are retired. People over the age of 65 spend over 4 hours watching TV and 1 hour reading. There are millions of studies out there talking about the dangers and consequences of watching too much TV. They include things like obesity, behavioral problems in children, sleeping problems. There's a whole lot of other health problems that come from watching too much TV. But reading provides a lot of health benefits. Marvin Daily Record posted an article about the different benefits that reading provides. Some of these include reducing your stress levels. Who's too stressed today? Everybody's a little too stressed, I think. If you read, you'll reduce that. See, it stimulates your imagination. It gives you a mood boost. It prevents and staves off dementia and Alzheimer's. Who wants to deal with that? I don't. So read, right? Reading also exercises your brain, which helps improve your focus and your memory. Who wants to remember things better? Who wants to be able to pay attention? I do. Okay, so these benefits really tell us why we should be reading. So why aren't we reading? Well, biggest issue is time. It's a very valuable resource, and reading takes up time. Another reason, reading can be expensive. The average paperback now costs almost $10. That's a lot of money, and it may not fit in everybody's budget. I think the biggest issue, though, why people don't read is you got schools, parents, or even workplaces forcing people to read books they don't find interesting. Not saying schools shouldn't make kids read certain things. They should. But because of that, people get put off of reading. They think they have to read Shakespeare or the classics to be a reader. You don't. It's great. You really don't. I love Shakespeare, but I really can't get through many of the classics. But I love Shakespeare. So, what do? You find things that you find interesting. Maybe you're not into fiction. Maybe you want to learn something and you're interested in gardening. Go find a book on gardening. Guess what? If you have other interests besides gardening or fiction, someone else out there has had that exact same interest, and betcha someone's written that book. You can learn anything through books. Great, right? So, find something you're interested in. That's your first step. What do you want to learn? What are you interested in reading? What catches your attention? You can even look at the TV shows you watch and figure out, well, what shows do I like? Do I like comedies? Do I like suspense stuff? Do I like crime shows? There's books that are all in those genres. Trust me. Okay? So you found something interesting. Well, maybe the topic you're interested in, maybe you don't have the money for a physical copy. Guess what? There's great news. There's websites like Booksy and Wattpad that authors put things on there, and it's free. It's great. You can also go on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and sometimes they have a lot of free books, but you got to remember you kind of get what you pay for. But the best resource is look for indie authors. Indie authors set their own price, and most of the time, their ebook prices are really affordable. They want you to read their stuff. They really do. So they make their ebooks cheaper, and ebooks are great because with technology, you can take thousands of ebooks with you everywhere. It's great. So ebooks make it a little cheaper. You can even find free things. You can read blogs. That's free. Well, now the biggest issue we have is time. How do you handle time? Well, it is a valuable resource and it is finite. You can't shove more minutes in a day. So how do you work reading into your schedule? You start small. If you don't think you have time to really read, I bet you can find 10 minutes a day. Bet you can. I know you can, in fact. You know, it's really easy to find those 10 minutes. You can cut it out of the TV time. 10 minutes taken away from worsening your health to bettering your health. How great is that? But, you know, maybe you don't want to cut away from your TV time. Maybe you like your shows you watch. I can understand that. I got TV shows I watch. I like TV too. I like reading too. So, you know, you can find a balance. You don't have to cut away from TV time. These are things I've done. I've cut my shower times because I wanted to get out and read. I have read during children's nap times. You know, I've even actually stayed up past my bedtime to read. You gotta be careful with that one because, you know, if you're like me, those 10 minutes you set aside can quickly turn into a couple of hours. Especially when that interesting story and book gets you hooked, you can be lost to the world. So, you set some time every day. Set an amount of time every day that you're going to read. It can be the same time every day. Maybe your schedule's a little more hectic and you have to kind of bounce it around. But set time every day for reading. Just 10 minutes. You can do 10 minutes. 10 minutes is nothing. I mean, you could even read it on your break at work. Or, you know, you could even read at the library. Read to your kids, your grandkids, the kids at in the neighborhood at the library. It's great. You can find ways to do it and help others. You don't have to read something interesting completely to you. You can read children's stories to your kids. That can help because it gets them interested in reading. Then you'll have a generation who reads. But, you know, maybe you don't want to do that, which is fine. Sometimes children's books aren't all that interesting if you're an adult. I understand. I got 2 kids. I understand. So, but, you know, even though children's books aren't maybe necessarily interesting, they're kind of short and they're not intimidating like a novel can be. Because if you go buy a novel and you sit down and look at it, you go, holy crap, I've got to read 300 pages of this. And you never read a novel before? It's intimidating. So, just like with your time, when you start small with the books you read. Read short stories. There are lots of great short stories out there, which are also sometimes called flash fiction now, that if you only read novels, you miss out on. So start small in your time and start small in your stories if you're intimidated by novels. Or even if you're not intimidated by novels, you can still pick up a short story to read for 10 minutes. And if you just take those 10 minutes and read, because I know you can find those 10 minutes and you can read. You can read. You can. Trust me. You can. You'll start receiving benefits from it. So, are you going to go home and read? I bet you are. Because I know you can. And it'll be amazing.